Cast. It's your host Brian and Craig. Craig, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, doing good. We got the Sportscast edition here for you, episode 180. We gotta talk about the wild card weekend right off the bat here. It's time to get into the playoffs. Craig, get to the nitty and gritty here. As we got some good games this weekend, and then we got the headlines of the week right after that, guys. Stick tuned. All right, guys, welcome in. Thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you're watching us, come on over here to YouTube and connect with us live on YouTube, and we will put you on the show. All right, guys. Well, we all know it's that time of year. We got playoffs, Craig. I'm super excited about it. You probably more excited about it that your team's in it.
Can't win if you don't play, but
yeah, my team is not in it, so it's first time in a long time. So it's kind of nice though to watch the playoffs though without the stress and every week if you win and move on, then you're stressed the next week going into it. But so I'll be able to sit back and relax and just watch football while you're chewing your nails over there as y'all play Tampa Bay Monday night. Well, let's go through the weekend's games here. We got Saturday game here for you, and this is probably the worst matchup of the weekend. You got Seattle. They go to travel to the 49ers to play at 3:30 on Saturday. The only hope I think that the Seattle has to win this game is it's a divisional game, so they know each other quite well. Divisional games end up being tighter than they should be, and they've also got to hope that the spotlight's a little too bright for Brock Purdy, and he has a bad game, and you need Geno Smith to play like he was in the beginning of the season, as well as he kind of tapered off there at the end of the season. But to me, this is an easy pick, the 49ers. Yeah, Ryan Sims. We tried to get him on the show tonight. He couldn't come. He couldn't make it. He's a little under the weather, but yeah, his birthday is Monday, and he's a Cowboys fan, so he's hoping for that Cowboys victory. It is really hard to beat a team three times. Going in, he's talking about the Seattle 49ers game as the 49ers, they've already swept Seattle this year. So looking for third time's the charm. I don't know. Do you? I mean, I'm guessing, Craig, that you're picking the 49ers, and I'm guessing that. I mean, what way can Seattle beat the 49ers? I mean, it's just I don't think it's possible.
If the playoff lights and it's different in the playoffs. The atmosphere is different. He will be at home. But the only way they beat Seattle is if he just gets out there and Kirk Cousins it and pees down his leg in the prime time spotlight. The rookie quarterback doesn't have deal and throws a couple picks or just can't get that offense rolling like it has been. I think the experience of McCaffrey, I think even though he hasn't seen a lot of playoff time, in his, they did make a Super Bowl run the 1 year, but for the most part, you just hope McCaffrey can take some deal off him. You hope that him getting all his weapons back, Elijah Mitchell and Debo and all them back, calms him down. But the only chance they have is if Purdy just kind of falters under the lights and can't perform like he has performed. And I just don't see that happening. I see the 49ers rolling by probably 10 or more.
Well, and to this game, the forecast is it's supposed to be raining really pretty good this game. So You could get a
Yeah.
sloppy game back and forth. You could
Yeah.
get the
Well,
49ers
and that's
couple key
another thing.
fumbles
You
and
know, yeah, a couple turnovers. I mean, Gino just hasn't been good the last month. He hasn't he started like a house of fire. He hasn't been great the last month. They backed in, on the win of a Detroit team that yeah, anybody playing the Niners would have been better than Seattle, in my opinion.
all right, we both have the that one going down as the 49ers easy one there. Um, Pete Carroll knows how to coach in another way they can win. I do have to. I went on a little apology tour earlier on this season about Pete Carroll because I totally killed him and I totally thought this guy was not very good. But he's proved me wrong this year. He's coming out and found a way that they can. They look better than they did when they had Russell Wilson, and we all thought when Russell Wilson left, which we saw that train wreck this season in Denver, that the Seattle that they would just fall off the cliff, and to have them in the playoffs is pretty good, especially with that division where we thought the Rams were going to be a powerhouse. We thought the 49ers could be there. We did not expect the Seattle to be there. So kudos to Pete Carroll this season. But I just think it's going to be tough for the 49ers. Now, it might be a closer game than we're expecting, but I'm guessing about 10 points, like Craig said, about a 10-point victory and moving on to the next round. Then that night, you got the Chargers and Jaguars at 7:15. And this is an interesting game because the Jaguars they won 5 straight games. They won their last 5 games going into the end of the season to win their division as the Tennessee Titans crumbled. You got Mike Williams is out for the Chargers. He's got a fracture in his spine and one of his plates, I believe, and he'll probably be out the rest of the playoffs if they move on. Trevor Lawrence is having the best season of his career. He's looked posed. I said before the season started, we made our predictions. I said that the Chargers would make it all the way to the championship round. Well, I think they end Saturday night. I think the Jaguars, they're playing at home. I think the Jags win. I think they're going to ride that momentum. The defense actually won in the last game. Trevor Lawrence's last game of the season did not look very good. The defense kind of got him that win. Trevor Lawrence needs to show up this game. He came in with the most hype I've ever seen anybody come out of college. He's not lived up to that hype, whether it be coaching staffs, whether it be whatever it may be, the problems that he's dealt with. He got Doug Peterson in the season. He's looking better. I think this is a game where he needs to step in and show them why they picked him, show him that he can move on and play in big games. But I got the upset here, and I guess it's really not an upset because the Jaguars, I mean, they did win their division. The Chargers are a wild card team, but the Chargers had a better record. I think most would consider it an upset, but I got the Jaguars winning this game on Saturday night.
As we all know, I haven't really hidden from the fact that I don't trust Trevor Lawrence any farther than I can throw him, and it showed trifold on Saturday night. He looked horrible, and the defense bails him out at the last minute, but Mike Williams being out is a big loss, and to be honest with you, San Diego's quarterback, I've loved him from day one. I think this kid is the real deal in Justin Herbert, but he hasn't proven himself either. The kid basically can't get over 500. He takes one step forward and 2 steps back, and is basically right at or just under 500 for his career. And so I think home field advantage plays a dividend, and I think the Jags win a close one. But I mean, I could see it going either way.
Yeah, I definitely can see it going either way. Mike Williams out is a big one.
This will be the biggest, the closest contested game of the weekend, other than maybe Dallas Tampa, because everything else is going to be a runaway freight train.
Well, we'll see. We'll get into those because I'm not sure we'll be on the same page. But this will be the best game Saturday. This will be the
best game probably of the weekend. Now, if you want to include Monday night, then that could be
that's next week.
Yeah, but
that's next week.
Of the regular Saturday Sunday matchups, this will be the game that is the best. Watch it from start to finish.
Ryan, I don't believe Doug Peterson should be coach of the year.
No, it's
barely above 500.
It'll be either Sirianni or if he didn't struggle so bad going down the stretch, the guy from Miami McDaniels would have ran away with it. But I think
it could probably be Sirianni.
Maybe even Dayball for the Giants.
That's my coach of the year
with that trash.
Yeah, Ryan. He started 2-7, so that's also on him. You can't just forfeit the 2-7 and think about the last part of the season. He started 2-7 for a reason. I think it's Brian Daboll. We got a team here that looked absolutely didn't know what football was last season. And the Giants, they looked absolutely lost, and he's got this team to the playoffs in record-wise, the toughest division in the NFL this season. So I got to give it to Brian Daboll, but it's probably going to go to Sirianni, and he deserves it too. He's 14-3. It's a great record. Giants, all right, hey, watch your language, sir. They got to the playoffs in the tough division, so you can't tell me you can't argue that they're bad. Now, I do think they're frauds. I don't think they're talented, but that proves that the coach is doing his job, getting more out of his talent, right?
Talk about the fraud game of the weekend.
You kind of proved my point there, Ryan. The Giants aren't very talented, and this coach took them above and beyond and got them to the playoffs. Coach of the year, in my opinion.
The fraud bowl over there.
Yep, that is definitely a fraud bowl. We'll get into that after the next game. We got Sunday night or Sunday football. We got Miami at Buffalo at 12 o'clock. Now, this was going to be a fantastic football game, but Tua has another concussion.
Except for Tua can't stay off the field. Can't stay out of the hospital.
He probably won't play the rest of the season. Obviously, they're probably going to lose. I have the Bills winning this game. I think it's a runaway. I think the Bills smoke them. This is probably the worst game to watch this weekend. Because I think the backup for Baltimore is better than the backup for Miami. But Bills should run away with this. What's his face is going to be at the game?
Oh, Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin's going to be at the game, get them extra motivation. They're going to go in there and they're just going to slaughter the Miami Dolphins. And I feel really bad for
they're going to win McDaniels. By 40.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yes.
Not like a TCU bloodbath in Georgia, but it'll be pretty bad football, and probably where they're going to be able to rest Josh Allen by the fourth quarter of this football game.
That will be the most entertaining game of the weekend.
If Miami pulls off.
Oh yeah, and the first game he played, the first game he played, Skylar Thompson didn't look bad. The game he played against the Jets, either the Jets have a really, 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 really good defense, or that kid is overwhelmed by the NFL because he looked horrible, and they couldn't get any separation, and so I was really hoping at least Bridgewater would play, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be not good.
How do you think Miami fans feel about their new head coach? Because me and you, we like him, but they've got to get past this concussion thing. They've got to get past. This has been the most bizarre start to a franchise from a new head coach. As far as that, it's been a crazy year for the Miami Dolphins, and do you think they're liking him? Do you think they don't like him? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell when you finish.
Yeah, I mean,
Mediocre.
They liked him when they were 7-2, but then to not win a game in December, and I'm not sold that Tua doesn't hang it up and walk away. I don't.
No way he does that. There's no way he does that. Just a desire to play. I mean, I don't think.
Understand that, but Aikman had 8 in his whole career, and Tua had 4 this season, and one of them was bad enough. No, he had 4.
Well, Green Bay.
Well, one of them wasn't. He finished the game and didn't recognize it. One of them he had to leave in an ambulance and was looked to be not well, and so I mean, at some point when he had that concussion, people, doctors and experts were saying he needs to not play again, and now he's had at least one more, if not 2, since then, and they discovered this one by watching film on Monday, and he didn't remember any of the plays he was watching. They're like, well, that's you. That's clearly your jersey. Like, you were there. I didn't do any of that. And so when it gets to that point and you literally don't remember where you're at and can't remember a whole quarter of a football game, at some point, the money and the how bad I want to has to go away.
I think Tua's back next season. Ryan says Tua might be forced to, and unless the medical doctor sets him down and says, "Hey, that you could die here on the field," literally. I don't think he'll be back next year. In my opinion, if Tom Brady doesn't go there, but that's just a rumor we're hearing at a rumor mill this time of year. But they were talking to him the other day about Tua. They were talking about how he doesn't know how to fall and protect himself and tuck his head and any of that. Yeah. He just falls and just wham. Like, what? That tackle that Green Bay made, and he kind of got tackled from behind and fell, and he just falls like this. I don't know. It was weird. It looked just weird to me, but Tom will be a Raider. Could be. We got the Fraud Bowl up at the midday 3:30 game. The Giants traveled to Minnesota to play. These are 2 frauds. Minnesota's a fraud. The Giants are frauds. The last time they played each other, Minnesota needed a 61-yard field goal to win this game. Daboll, like I just talked about, has got the Giants playing pretty tough this season, playing a lot better than we thought they were. I never thought that Daniel Jones would be a mid-pack quarterback because he's always, to me, been bottom of the barrel pretty much. I got the Giants winning this one. I think they go in. I think they pull an upset. I think Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, standalone game, not 12 o'clock. I think they're going to be able to get to Kirk Cousins with Thibodeau there. I just think Brian Daboll's got this team ready to run through a wall, and I don't think Minnesota's ready. They're frauds. I'm telling you, frauds. They finished with a negative run differential. I think -6 at the end of the day. The Cowboys washed this team. 40-3. It was probably the most dominant performance of the season, honestly, by the Cowboys. But I got the Giants winning this game instead of Minnesota packing.
This could completely derail any chance the Cowboys have of advancing anywhere. And that's why Minnesota needs to win this football game.
You don't want to face the Giants?
I don't want to. No, I don't care about the Giants. I'd definitely want to face them. But if they win, they would automatically go to Philly, and we would have to go to San Francisco. And I want no part of that juggernaut. I want to wait until at least the NFC Championship to, because then everybody will at least be off the NFC Championship. You haven't checked that box in 30 years, Jerry. So, and I think that
he hasn't checked a lot of boxes in 30 years, but yeah.
Yeah, and so I think they can beat the Eagles because I think Jalen Hurts is hurt more than he's leading on to be. The reports are coming out now that shoulder is not right. So, anyhow, but I see very easily how the Giants can win this football game. But I think Minnesota has enough to get it done and gets it done.
They definitely got the talent. I mean, this to me.
I'm going to pick Minnesota, and I'm going to pick that only because that's what I need to happen to make my path easier. Not because I think that that Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback and is going to go in and win the playoffs and everything like that. I have no faith in Captain wet the bed when the lights come on in the playoffs or any other big game ever. So if he wants to shed that stipulation, go out there and beat the Giants by, double digits, and that might help. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with the Vikings on this and just hope and pray that the Vikings do that, because I want to go play Philly and don't want any part of the Brock Purdy juggernaut 40-point.
Well,
I don't really want Philly either, but out of my two choices, that is the least of the evils.
Ryan says, I agree with you, Brian, but I think you got your divisional hate. Yes. Minnesota is the rivals. They talk about Chicago or the Lions. It's not. It's Minnesota. They've been the most relevant team in our division other than Green Bay, and the Bears are so bad. You can't call it
Ryan's really getting hopeful over here. He's like, let's just let the Seahawks and the Giants win, and we can just have home games.
Oh, wow. Yes. Well, he tapped it off there with a pipe dream.
Yeah,
so,
that's. Yeah. I would love that to happen, but
that would be fantastic for you guys, but not for me. I don't want that to happen one bit. Now, the game that evening, another game that if both teams had their quarterbacks, if Baltimore had their running back, then it would be a good game. But they don't.
It would be a better game. I still think Cincinnati would win, but
yes,
but
Jackson's out for this game. And there's some fishy stuff going on, Craig, and I'm going to bring this up real quick. And Ryan, I want your opinion on this. I think I texted you about this the other day.
Fishy is an understatement, by the way.
Fishy is a big understatement. First of all, yesterday or today, Jackson came out publicly and announced his injury. Why would you do that? Your teams like to keep that stuff hidden, right? Until game day, you like to keep the other team thinking, oh, Jackson might be playing, might not. He comes out and says, yeah, thanks for your thoughts and prayers. I'm out. I can't play. My knee's still hurt. Like, what? So I think it was yesterday, they announced that he's not playing. My biggest thing with this is he's got an injury that Zeke Elliott, I believe the same injury Zeke Elliott had with his knee, right?
It is. It's just if you look at it, the grade, I think Zeke's was 1 or slightly 2 into the lower 2, and he's saying his is 2 on the brink of 3. So even if you double it, though, say it's grade 3, even if you double it, you're looking at 4 to 5 weeks, and he's been out well past that. And it's just, well, the knee is swollen and not structurally sound, but I'm not going to do anything about it. And he's not coming up, getting a whole lot of treatment, and the coach doesn't know what's going on.
This is
bad all the way around.
I do, and I understand it. It's a business decision, but it looks really crappy. You got an injury that a running back missed 2 to 3 games, 1 to 2 games on. You got an injury that you could go out there. You're going to tell me that you can't go out there and out throw your backup quarterback, Huntley? That's an indictment on Lamar Jackson. Because if you can't go out there and play without running the football, then you don't. you're not a quarterback. He doesn't throw the ball well. I'm not a big fan of Lamar Jackson, if you guys couldn't tell. He's electric. He's not a great quarterback. And you cannot tell me that his going out there and just purely throwing the football will be better than Huntley. Because if it's not, then that's an indictment on himself saying I'm not that great of a quarterback, or he's just refusing to play for this team. It's not a good look for this team. It's not a good look that in the locker room. Hey, our quarterback, who the Ravens have come out and said we think he can play, it's not a good look all around. I honestly think they're headed for a separation, in my opinion. And Ryan says Lamar won't risk his knee because he hasn't been paid. It's a business decision, but it's the Ravens' fault. Should have got the deal done. I don't think it's the Ravens' fault. You have a contract. You play through that contract. The Ravens probably think like my thing with Lamar Jackson is he ever going to get you good enough to win a Super Bowl? My point is no, he's not. Maybe they don't think he can. If you don't think your quarterback, yes, Lamar is a running back. If you don't think your quarterback is good enough to get you to the Super Bowl, there's no point in paying him. I get it. You can say, what's next? What are the other options they got? I understand that. But if you don't think he's the guy and you're limited on offense on what plays you can call because he can't throw the ball very well, then I wouldn't sign him either. But it's just a really bad look for Baltimore, and I think it's just not good. It's not good for locker room. It's not good for the fan base. Lamar Jackson. He's representing himself here. They're paying other guys like no, they probably wouldn't. They probably wouldn't. I get it's a business decision. I understand that. But we're talking about the playoffs here. We're talking about an injury that he should have been back by now. We're not just talking about a running back. We're talking about a quarterback who should be able to take a 3-step drop and throw the ball without a healthy 100% knee. And if he was to gut it, who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe he plays through an injury. They win if they come close to beating the Bengals or whatever, and they end up paying him. But at the end of the day, I don't think you sitting out and your team's already mad at you is going to get you paid. Anyways, I mean, I don't know, but it's a terrible look. As a fan, are you fine? Are you fine with your quarterback sitting out just to prove a point in the playoffs? Let me ask you that question, because I'm not. You're a family man. What's more important, setting your family up for life or winning a playoff game? Well, I'm not a football player. Ryan. So I'm going to take the money all day long. But I'll take what is Lamar getting paid right now? I'll take that money he's getting paid right now because that'll probably set me up for life. So you can't really ask. That's not really a fair question to ask because I haven't seen the kind of money that Lamar is making. It's just not a good look. Would you be okay if Dak had an injury? Would you be okay if Dak had an injury and said, I didn't get my contract, I'm going to sit out. I'm sitting out the playoffs? I don't know. That's just the way I see it. And I get it. I get the business decision. I just think it's a crappy look. I don't know about you, Craig. The
bottom line is you hit it is he's representing himself. So yeah. He is the agent. He is the deal. He's running this deal, and I fully believe this is. I told you this a couple weeks ago that I felt he was going to hold this over the Ravens' head and use it as leverage in a contract dispute, and I think it leads to him not being the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens next year. I think that it has driven a wedge between him and ownership and him and the head coach. The head coach doesn't know what's going on. They ask him, and he's at the press conference going, I don't know, haven't seen Lamar. I haven't talked to Lamar.
No clue what's going on.
And so it's making him look stupid. It's making the organization look stupid, and it's going to cost them any chance at even remotely advancing into the deal. Cost them a chance at to win in the division because he sat out the last 5 weeks and they couldn't win games that to put any kind of pressure on Cincinnati. So now they have to play this game on the road, and I just think Lamar's time in Baltimore has come to an end, and honestly, I don't think he gets a long-term deal. He probably gets a 1 or 2 year deal from somebody because of all this.
I think so too. I think
I just don't see
Ravens,
anybody going long-term at all. So it'd be very interested to see the offseason.
We've seen this show before. These type of quarterbacks, they don't win Super Bowls. We've seen it. They're limited. He's limited on his passing. Look. Michael Vick is the same is a carbon copy of Lamar Jackson, except Michael Vick had a better arm.
And that's why I say Hurts won't ever win the big game, and that's why Cam Newton, he led him to the Super Bowl, but in the Super Bowl he got exposed.
Cam Newton, to me, one of the most overhyped quarterbacks in the history of football.
So
overhyped.
Anybody that uses that's why Tim Tebow didn't do well in the NFL, and the running, that's why your quarterbacks from Ohio State, your Justin Fields and all these, they never do well because they're run first and pass later, and that's why these quarterbacks from these pro style offenses, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Manning's, the Drew Breeses, they succeed, and these running guys that do running and options and triple options and stuff like that do not. And
they succeed, and they play for 20 years, 18 years, 17 years.
And I mean, Bill Polian, who was in Indy, who was a scout and the GM and over there in Indy for a long time, when Lamar Jackson came out, he said he's nothing more than he should play a slot receiver or he should play running back because he's not a NFL quarterback. And that has been brought up and made fun of and talked about for years to come. The year he won the MVP, they were, well, take that, Bill Polian. How was that for just being a glorified running back? And so he had one good season. But other than that, and that was with Hollywood Brown. And if you now that he doesn't have any kind of top tier wide receivers, he is nothing more than your swing back, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't think they win, and I don't think Lamar comes back and is the quarterback in Baltimore next year.
And see, Ryan, that question you asked me about Family Man earlier and all that, and what's fair or whatever. $15 million is, for me, that's gonna set me up for life. So it's not a fair question. But Ryan says Justin Fields and Lamar can win a fantasy ship. You're exactly right. Justin Fields, they said this year, you take away his rushing, he is literally the worst passing quarterback in the NFL. That is not a guy I'm signing up for long term.
No.
If the Bears are smart, they
especially with what you're having to pay the quarterback market right now. Yep. The quarterback market is $40-45 million and a year, and you're going to have to, and you're going to have to pay that to a guy who isn't a quarterback, and I can't do it, and I wouldn't do it, and so therefore I don't think he's going to be there. So that's just my deal.
Yep.
I think that'll be the worst game, one of the worst two. I think both that and the Buffalo game will be the worst two of the weekend.
And the Bengals are a team who have finished on fire. They are one of the best teams in the NFL. They could win the Super Bowl, so we'll see. But we both had the Bengals winning this easy game. And now Monday night, this is the game to me that was the hardest to pick. I was going back and forth all day long on this game. on who I thought was going to win. Let's get into it here. The Dallas Cowboys will play Tampa 7:15 Monday night. When you look at these two teams, Dallas Cowboys they're the better football team. I don't think that's really hard to see. So you might be saying, well, if they're the better team, then that should be an easy pick. Well, it's not, because the Dallas Cowboys tend to pull the Dallas Cowboys, and they don't play well. They shoot themselves in the foot all the time, and you just never know which Dallas Cowboys team is going to show up. So Tom Brady is 7-0 against Dallas. Lifetime. He's never lost.
Never lost.
Never lost. I want that as a drop on here so we can just click it. Never lost. I don't think they've met. I don't think they've never met in the playoffs, but that's just in the regular season. Obviously, the Bucs haven't looked like themselves. Tom Brady hasn't played all that great this season. They a division which we thought they could sleepwalk into, they barely won it. What's mind-boggling is basically the same team. They do have some injuries. They do have some offensive line injuries, but they've got the same talent on wide receivers. They've got they got the same defense. Leonard Fournette hasn't ran on anybody this season except the Dallas Cowboys. In game 1, he rushed for like 130 yards, and he has not gotten over like 75 over anybody else all year. So they're really missing the rushing game. What are some keys, Craig, before we get to our picks? What are some keys for the Dallas Cowboys in winning this football game?
Stop the opposite side of the field that Trayvon Diggs is not on.
Everything over there.
Yeah. I mean, be able to cover somebody rather than cover your eyes from a scary movie. You've got to put pressure on Brady. You've got to move him off his spots. You can't let these guys run the long routes. You're going to have to keep the ball in front of you. You can't let Godwin and Evans run down the field and run 9 routes all day long. That's how they beat Carolina. Is Evans just went in the huddle and said, I can beat that guy. You 5, give Tommy Boy over here 3 seconds to let us get this play developed, and we'll win the game. And they did. And but Tampa has not. Carolina showed you the blueprint for 3.5 quarters. Make them move the ball up and down the field. Don't go for it on 4th down when you're on the 30. Don't give them short fields. Don't give them deal. Make them drive the entire field, because they haven't done it all year. This offense has been anemic. It has been
17 points,
17 points a game, if that. Even in the Carolina game with 3 bombs at the end of the game, they only put up a little over 20.
They said today that they are the last place in the league in explosive plays. They don't throw the ball over 20 yards.
They don't have a running back that can make big runs. So keep the running back between the tackles and keep everything of you, and put some pressure on Brady. And I think you should win the football game. I
think
you don't want to get in the track with these guys. You don't want to get in the I want to give the ball to Tom with a minute and 8 seconds left and see if he can drive 80 yards, because he will every time. This game needs to be out of hand. This game by the 4th quarter needs to be double digits, and it needs to just be done, or else Dallas is in trouble. If you let him hang around and you give him an opportunity at the end of the game, he will somehow, some way, wave his 45-year-old magic Tom Brady wand, and he will stick it in you, and you will lose the game. And so if you want to know how the blueprint is make them go the length of the field every time. Put them deep in the thing, punt. I understand McCarthy has been Riverboat Ron Jr. over here and wanting to go for it on 4th downs and prove that he can do it. No. Take your loss. Punt the ball, make them go the length of the field. Every drive, they have to go. Their average starting position needs to be the 15 or 20, and they need to go 80 yards every time. And I don't think they can do that. They didn't do that week 1. They struggled to move the ball week 1, and then you gave them some short fields, and they did it. And so if you want to know the blueprint to beating Tampa, it's make them drive the field. And if they do that, I think Dallas wins.
Some keys I got here. I got some keys for Dallas that one you already mentioned is pressure Brady. You got to get pressure. Two is the Cowboys got to get the rushing game going. They have not been able to run the ball very well the end of the season. They've struggled. Tony Pollard's been hurt and banged up. You just got Zeke, and Zeke is okay, but he's not the old Zeke.
Yeah, time of possession will definitely. Tom Brady can't beat you if he doesn't have the ball,
and they can't. They got to stop the rushing attack, and Leonard Fournette's been not doing anything this season. Only, like I said, last time was game one against you guys, but it's a long way from game one. I think they struggled to move the ball on the rushing, and it's going to be on Tom Brady to throw the ball a lot. And he's 45 years old. I'm just not sure they can pull it off. I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. I was going back and forth because it depends on what Cowboys show up. Is Dak Prescott going to throw an interception or 2 interceptions this game? Is Micah Parsons going to show up this game? He's been missing. This to me, and I'm going to say it now, this to me is a prove-it game for Dak. I've said this season's a prove-it season. He has good numbers. He's thrown too many interceptions. Yes, I know half of those were his receivers, so don't jump down my throat in there. But he's thrown a lot of interceptions. He needs to prove himself here in the playoffs. But I got Dallas winning this game, and I think it's a close one. Ryan says the Cowboys will win 31-20. He says, "Do we think Dan Quinn has something up his sleeve?" I'm not sure. I think Dan Quinn's great defensive coordinator.
I think you're going to see
the main thing.
I think you're going to see him dial up more blitzes. I really do. I think
right up the middle too. That's where
that's where Brady doesn't like. He doesn't like hands in his face, and I think you're going to see some stunts. I think you're going to see some stuff dialed up, and I think especially on early downs to try to put them behind the chains. I think you're going to see Dallas really up the blitz and move Micah around and try to get some pressure on Brady.
Van Der Esch having Van Der Esch back, and he's a very underrated linebacker. He's played really well this season for you guys. When he's on the field, there's a difference in his defense, and having him back there so Micah can blitz is huge for you guys. I do think we see some blitzes at the middle. You can have Micah Parsons right there in the center's face, ready to go when they snap the ball. I think he'll probably have some special blitz packages for Tom Brady, and because Tom Brady is going to get the ball out in no time. I mean, it's going to be seconds. And you just got to hope that your cornerback that can't guard anybody out there, it can hold on for dear life all game long for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
But LV is back. Run stopper Hankins is back, and our center is back. So that's the good thing, is you're getting healthy at the right time. And like I said, if Dak Prescott that we know can play shows up and his defense shows up, then I don't think you'll have any problem with Tampa Bay moving forward.
I agree. No.
Brian said, "Would you play Parsons and Mike more this game?" Why wouldn't you not, Craig?
Because Van Der Esch sets the guys up where they belong, and when you've missed him this game, him not playing middle linebacker has shown what that's for, and Parsons is never the Mike. He's the outside linebacker. Even when he plays linebacker, he's the outside guy, and pass coverage and everything like that. He doesn't ever play the middle. So to waste him, you need him doing what he's done all season. You need his hand in, you need him rushing off the edge, and you're going to need him. Leonard Fournette has got 75 receptions, I think, this year, and you're going to need somebody of Micah's speed and ability to chase down from the backside, those little swing passes, because they love running that. Is that screen pass to Fournette, and so no, I would not. I would put him right where he was and let these other guys handle the business.
I would have him blitzing on the D end all night long, and you could add some stunts in there where he's curving back into the middle of the field if that center is their weak link. But
I mean, yeah, I mean, if they want to do that, on a play or two, that's fine. But I don't want him there permanently. I don't want him there the whole game.
I don't know. That's a conversation for you Cowboys fans.
Because if that's the case, and he's done that before, when he lines up there, Brady's going to know it's coming. He's going to point right at him, and he's going to have the blockers roll to that deal. So, if that's the only time he plays the mic is when he blitzes, is they're going to know that Brady's going to catch up on that. I mean, Brady's watched all the film, so he's going to know that, and he'll call it out in an instant. It'll be interesting to see. It really will be.
All right, guys. Well, that is the playoff section for the Saturday this weekend, the Sunday and Monday. We got 3 days there of good football. Some games I wish the quarterbacks were healthy so we could have a full-fledged playoffs of great quarterback play, and it's kind of crazy if you look at the quarterbacks from the AFC. They're a lot better. They're a gauntlet of quarterbacks compared to the NFC. So pretty interesting. Let's see. Oh, he meant Micah. Micah won first team All-Pro linebacker last year and edge this year. Should he go for safety? Yeah, he's fast, man. He's fast. He covered what's that? There's that play last year where he saw a guy uncover and just chased him down, covered him. Absolute beast. But he's been playing healthy, and he's got to show up this game, Ryan. I don't think he showed up the last couple games of the season, but that's just me. All right, guys, we got the headlines right after this. Speaking of playoffs, yes, playoffs. I love that. Who's that coach for the Lions? It playoffs?
Mora.
You want to talk about
Jim
playoffs?
Mora.
I love that. We got a new playoff rule, and I love it. Oh God, it's about time. If this rule was implemented a couple years ago, Green Bay probably moves on in the playoffs, but we never got the chance. Both teams will have a possession no matter what. The first team cannot end the game in the playoffs in the overtime with a touchdown. So it used to be if the first team scored a touchdown, game was over. If you held up to a field goal, you got a chance to match or score a touchdown. Now both teams will get possession no matter what. If the first team scores a touchdown and you go down and score a touchdown and it's tied, after that, it's sudden death. So I really love this move. It gives both quarterbacks a chance with the football. It would give the Bills a chance to play. Last year, it would give Allen the ball in his hands and have a chance to answer the Patrick Mahomes of that defense. I love this move, but by the NFL, and I think it should be that way in the regular season as well. And sorry, Ryan, but Dez did not catch it. What are your thoughts? I mean, you've got to like it. I think it makes for more exciting football, especially playoff football in overtime.
Yeah, I think the reason they don't do it in the regular season is because I think then it stimulates more. There's a way bigger chance it ties. If a team drives down and takes 6 minutes, because you only put 10 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
So if a team takes 5 or 6 minutes and drives down and scores a touchdown, and then the other team comes back and scores one and a tie, rather than I don't think you have enough time for 3 and 4 possessions. So I think the reason they do it in playoff is because there is no clock, there is no end of the game until somebody wins. So you can do it in a playoff format, whereas you would just be stimulating more ties in the regular season format. I think that's my opinion. I like it for the playoffs. I don't know if I would like it for the regular season, just for that aspect, because ties really throw a monkey wrench into things in the standings.
Ryan says college OT is better than NFL OT, and I do not agree with that. I hate the college OT. I think it's dumb. You get the ball at the 25, you're playing a really short field, and then at one point, if they can't settle it there, they go to 2-point conversions. I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, I think that's
that I cannot stand college OT.
No, yeah, it 7 overtimes, 8 overtimes, and you finally got to go for 2, and it's
the 2-point conversion is what get me. I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah,
back and forth. Overtime should just be another. I think it's fine to give them 10 minutes, and whoever's the winner at the end of 10 minutes is fine. I mean, I don't have any problem with that, but there shouldn't be ties in football, and I can't stand a lot of people like the college overtime.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, but in the NFL, I would do from the 50-yard line, and you get your drive, and the other team gets their drive, and we'll see what happens. But going for
definitely not the 20 or 25. I mean,
just
in an NFL football game, that's points all day long.
All right, Sean McVay. We talked about it on Tuesday. I called him out and called him a coward. What a coward move that was to not want to stick around for the rebuild after dismantling the football team to win a Super Bowl. Sean McVay has said that he's going to. Reports are saying that he's going to come back and be the head coach of the Rams, and I think that is that's good for the Rams. Obviously, he's very young. It wasn't a good look to me that he was going to get Matthew Stafford to come here, tell him all the things he can do for him. They win a Super Bowl, and because they have a bad year, he's kind of like, I don't want to stick around for a rebuild. It's just not. Yeah. That's not fair for the organization. But good for him. To me, it just makes it seem like he just wanted the attention. Right? Why would you say anything if at the end of the day, and this was like 2 weeks later. This wasn't like he drug this out for months. It was 2 weeks later. We heard the report last week, and this week he's saying, I'm going to stick around. To me, it's like, you don't think, you think you could have just kept that to yourself and just decided to show up to your job next year?
He probably heard the scuttle. He probably heard the everybody making, we weren't the only ones. I mean, everybody was making the same kind of comments of you abandoning your team and everything like that. So he probably heard it, and maybe he thought he had an inside track to one of these other jobs and found out that he didn't, or you'll never know the real reason. But
maybe he just put it out there to see how the bad publicity is going to be, and said maybe I'll come back.
Or to see if he got an immediate offer from somebody. Maybe he had a job in mind and thought he might get an immediate offer if he threw his name out there, and he when nobody came and bit or nobody offered him or whatever, then he just decided, nah, it's fine, we're just going to go back to what we were doing. Either way, it's good. If now the quarterback that you said the other night, he was coming back, and now McVay's back, so I think Baker will start next year. I 110% agree that Baker Mayfield.
Are you talking about just starting the season because Stafford's shoulder ain't ready? Or are you talking about just starting?
Like I said, I'm not sold that even though he said he's coming back, I'm not sold that Matthew Stafford's gonna play any more football.
Matthew Stafford's a quarterback. That would be asinine if he comes back after a Super Bowl year.
If he's healthy.
If health, he's already said he's coming back, so we know that. There's no way they start Baker Mayfield over Matthew Stafford. I think Baker Mayfield could play a backup.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Baker was the same old. Baker did not do anything special. He had one good game where everyone was so crazy because he had like
6 minutes notice.
6 minutes notice. Yeah, that to me was it. He did not come out and prove to me that he is.
No, he had Van Jefferson running down the sidelines wide open, and he couldn't make the throw.
Yeah,
he telegraphed it. He hits the roof of the SoFi Stadium out there and throws it to Quadre Diggs because he can't throw the ball on the line.
See, he intercepted the wide receiver, and he pointed right at the linebacker.
Right at the whole. How that wasn't 15 yards, I'll never know. Pointed it right at the whole bench and went ha ha ha. Right at the whole bench.
Well, let me. McVay is a quarterback whisperer. Let me say something here because I'm not sure if this is true. Jared Goff's balling with the Lions. What happened to Goff and why was he doing? I mean, they did go to the Super Bowl. Yes, granted, that was more of the defense, but they didn't think he was good enough to win. But he's balling out over there and scoring, pretty good, playing pretty good with the Lions, and they're like, this is our guy. That would be my only question mark on him. And he went out and got Stafford, who we all believed had the talent, but was just on the Lions. So he comes over, plays with a better roster, a better defense, and they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't.
Wait, are you saying Jared Goff, when he went to the Lions, they weren't their number? If their number one offense is because of Jared Goff. Because he was with the Lions. Stafford never won a playoff game because he was with the Lions. They barely made the playoffs. And when they did, they played y'all and they didn't get the pass interference call at one time, but that's beside the point. He goes over with
They did get it, then we just picked the flag up.
Yeah, they picked the flag up and said that wasn't. Goff had it, but then they went to the Super Bowl. But the Rams have also had a great defense. Goff goes over to the Lions with no defense, and they almost make the playoffs this year. Now, granted, they weren't slobber knockers, but their offense was perfectly fine. Stafford, who already had the talent, goes over on what you just said was the number one offense at the time and a great defense. We could debate this off. We could debate this another time, but I'm not saying I don't like McVay. I just don't know if he's a quarterback whisperer, is what I'd say. But Derek Carr, next headline. Derek Carr says an emotional goodbye to the Raiders fans as he will be let go at some point. I feel bad for Derek Carr because he's a good guy. You see his interviews. You see the way he handles himself. You see how his head coach got fired from John Gruden over some very bad emails. And instead of coming out there and calling him out, he's like, I'm going to pray for that man. Hope he gets all the, I hope he goes and reflects upon himself. And he's not up there trying to bash him. He's just a good guy. And he wanted to bleed and die a Raider. What's your opinion before we answer that question for Ryan? What's your opinion on Carr? Because he is a good middle of the pack quarterback. He's not great. He's not terrible. He is middle of the pack, 12 to 15. Some years he could be number 11, maybe 10. And some years he's 16. Like it isn't, it's just a lot of people think Carr's been completely trash. I don't believe that, but I don't think he's good enough to get your team to where you want them to go.
Be real interested to see how he does this, because he can make this very difficult on the Raiders. He has a full no trade clause,
Oh
and
wow.
if he wants to do this, the deal, he could just veto everything that they do and force them to cut him and go where he wants to go. So the Raiders are going to have to do right by Derek Carr, or they're going to get nothing in return for him. So if I'm Carr and that's how they did me over the course of the year, then I just veto everything unless it's the one place I want to go. I don't know if Carr has that kind of vindictiveness in him. He hasn't shown that up to
I
this
don't think he
point.
does.
But I've heard Washington. I've heard that Ron Rivera and him would do marvelous together, and with those weapons that you have there, you have Dodson and McLaurin, and then Brian Robinson will not be hopefully shot in the leg.
Yeah, let's hope not.
He'll have a full off season to deal. So that could be a very good spot for him. You wonder if
Rodgers Adams reunite.
Adam reunite. They just swap quarterbacks, and he goes to Green Bay.
I hope
said
not.
something about New England, but a very good point was made today that this was his worst statistical year in that New England system, because McDaniels is the deal. And so while they're going to look for a new offensive coordinator in New England, that system that they've been running for years is one that Derek Carr did not succeed very well in, and you don't have a lot of weapons up there. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does and how he handles this.
And Ryan said Carr the Packers because Aaron Rodgers might want to reunite with Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams only went there to be with Derek Carr. I don't want to trade a mediocre quarterback for a mediocre quarterback. That doesn't make sense to me. So I would veto that. But let me tell you this. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, well, hold on real quick before we get into that, because that's our next topic. What you said to Washington, I heard that today, and it makes perfect sense. Their Carr is way better than what they have. He could really thrive there with those weapons they had, and they have a good defense. I think that would elevate this team and make them maybe a playoff team next season. They were almost a playoff team this year with the debacle of quarterbacks that they had, and your head coach killing your chances when he put in Wentz.
And you're getting a new offensive system being put in place, and so
I think that works. I think that would be perfect fit for him. But speaking of Aaron Rodgers, because I saw this and I had to put it in headlines, and Packers Brian Goots says he's not ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers. They made a big commitment to him last year. It was not just for one season. And if they were ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers, they would have told him to his face, and they would have had that discussion. So they plan on bringing him back, and reports are saying that Aaron Rodgers is leaning towards coming back next season. Oh, gosh, Craig. I don't know if I can go through another year of this.
Salary cap nightmare.
Even if he retires, we will still owe $40 million in dead money. Like, we are in salary cap hell.
Ooh.
We have like 20 free agents.
You have about $9 to spend in the offseason at free agents.
They're talking about maybe getting rid of Aaron Jones, one of our best weapons. Like, what are we talking about? Alan Lazard said, "I'm out," which I'm fine with, because you're not a number one wide receiver.
No,
you're basically
terrible.
You're basically an offensive lineman. All they talk about when Alan Lazard is him blocking. That's it.
Field blocking.
That's it. Dak to Packers for Rodgers in a first. I might sign up for that deal. I am tired. I look, and y'all might be like, Brian's a Roger hater. I'm not. I love Aaron Rodgers. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time.
Hold on. Before you sign up for the Dak deal, his cap hit is $47 million next year. So
Well, we're paying Aaron Rodgers 50-something a year, so I mean, it
I
wouldn't be that
know,
far off.
but I mean, if you trade him, then you get the Rodgers cap hit and the Dak cap hit all together. So financially, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers. I'm ready to peel the Band-Aid off. When Brett Favre,
I think Aaron Rodgers is ready to move on from the Green Bay Packers. I don't think him and the head coach get along. They haven't got along.
They get along. Don't give me that. They get along. I think they get along way better than Mike McCarthy. He got him fired intentionally. Losing to the Cardinals. What's funny
Dak only has 2 years left right now, but that will turn into 5 years in a real deal because they're going to flip switches on that and kick that can down the road. There's no way he's going to be on the books for 40 something next year and 50 in the year after that and get rid of that deal. There's no way. The Cowboys just won't be able to afford it. So they will end up flipping switches and making 2 will turn into 4 or 5.
Now I got a real question for you. No. Mike, don't even get me started on Mike McCarthy. I'm gonna ask you guys a real question. I want to answer from you guys, not being Packers haters or Aaron Rodgers haters. If you were a fan of the Packers, would you be tired? Would you be done with Aaron Rodgers? Because I'm done. I'm at that point where I'm done. I'm done with his attitude. I'm done with his teammates say he's the best leader they've ever had, but when he's on the field screaming at people when he makes a terrible pass, I'm like, bro, that was a horrible pass, and it doesn't seem like he takes responsibility for any of the bad stuff. He just, I don't know. Would you be done with him? Ryan says no, and he thinks I'm crazy.
A lot of people like the fiery. They like to see quarterbacks grabbing their offensive linemen. You know, when Brady was over there yelling at his guys in the start of the season, and all, you know, everybody, oh, look at Tom taking command and deal. With Rodgers, I just don't think that's it. I think he's lost the passion to play the game. I think he's kind of going through the motions. I think he is on the downslope of his career, and I just, he holds the team hostage every year and goes up in the woods and doesn't decide for 6 and 8 weeks on what he's going to do.
We were held hostage last year.
And that's exactly what he's going to do this season. When I read today that he was going to go take some time and reevaluate his decision, you know, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's holding the Packers captive and wants to see what you know, what the draft's going to look like. What are you going to do with Love? Are you gonna try to move on from him, or are you going to re-sign him? Because if you re-sign him,
how are we going to re-sign a quarterback we don't know what he is?
And that's what I'm saying, though. So, but then how do you? But who's your backup next year? Some guy that you get off the scrap heap and pay $7 to because you don't have any room.
Well, we only got 9, so $7 sounds good to me.
You know, so I mean,
he says Troy was fiery, and you talked about,
and that's what I'm talking about.
And I get it. You can do that when you've won championships,
when you've earned it.
And I'm not saying like Rodgers has a Super Bowl. I get it. That was great. That was fantastic. That was 11, 12 years ago. And he's coming off back-to-back MVPs. This is his worst statistical season of his career. We're not talking about just one bad year. This is his worst he's ever had. And don't give me, I do not, I'm going to go off on other Packer fans too. Don't give me that the Green Bay Packers have not given him enough talent. One bad year with no wide receivers. We have wide receivers. Rodgers misses them. They talk about it all the time when they're going through the game tape on Instagram, the Packers page. These guys will go on there and be like, this guy's wide open down the middle of the field. And what does he do? He throws it double coverage. We saw it last year in the playoffs with Devontae Adams. Lazard wide open in the middle of the field to continue our season. What does he do? He throws it up into triple coverage Devontae Adams. I may be spoiled as a Packer fan because Aaron Rodgers has been great. He's one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time.
Well, you went from Favre to Rodgers. I mean, yes.
Never seen
had
one bad
season,
exactly.
I mean,
So, but he's not good in the playoffs, and I'm tired of. We win our division. That's great, but that's not. I'm here for a Super Bowl. We're here for a long playoff run.
About to get a whole lot tougher.
Yes, it is, and we did have the most drops in the NFL this year. We had 30 drops this season. It's the most in the NFL. I will give you that.
27 of them were Christian Watson's.
I don't know what it's like. I've gone from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and he might be calling me spoiled, but I'm tired. And I never got tired of Aaron. I was talking to the wife about this today. With Brett Favre, I was mad we let him go. I'm like, what are we doing? This guy's our legend. With Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, can you just please retire? Because it's his attitude. I saw him throw a pass. He was running like he was going to run into the end zone, threw a ball 2 feet behind Dylan, our running back, and Dylan didn't even reach. He kind of reached for it, but thought it was someone else. And Aaron Rodgers was like getting mad at him, like, dude, that was a horrible pass. What are you doing? Like, it's just his attitude. I just don't like it, man. I just don't. Here, Quincy Carter. Look, Ark and all of our team, it says Jordan Love, all the team that play with him during practice, because Aaron Rodgers he's not practicing a whole lot. They say he's ready. They say he is better than some of the quarterbacks that play in the NFL today. But I just don't know what we do with Jordan Love if we bring back Aaron Rodgers, because we're going to sign a guy we've never seen on the field play a full game. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's a complete wasted draft pick, and I'm just tired of the false narrative that the Packers have never given him help. Let me tell you, is this enough help, Craig? Okay, is this enough help? The 2 seasons before, when he was back-to-back MVPs, we had top 10 offensive line, we had a top 10 defense, and we had a top 5 running back in the league with the number 1 wide receiver. And you're going to tell me that Aaron Rodgers can't win a Super Bowl with that? That is absolutely asinine. You can tell me they didn't give enough players to play with in the beginning of his career, but you cannot tell me that he hasn't had enough players. The Giants are in the playoffs right now with no wide receivers and Daniel Jones. And Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be this elite quarterback. Where's it been?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you how it is. And I'm not an Aaron Rodgers apologist like a lot of Green Bay Packer fans are. And they drive me insane. Sorry for the Green Bay rant. I had to go on it real quick. Any other headlines, though, that you want to add before we wrap it up here, Craig? Because I think that's pretty much about all I saw. Dallas
Correa's deal in Minnesota is official. With that fake physical he went through, he goes for 6 for $200. Whatever.
How is this legal? How? Because
this is going to go one of two ways. He's either going to go into Minnesota and he's never going to get hurt, and San Francisco and the Mets are going to look like idiots for finding and making a big deal of an injury that he had back in the minor leagues that has never caused him to miss extended periods of time and plagued him in his major league career, or he's going to go out and he's going to slide and his ankle's going to turn sideways and he's going to miss a bunch of time and Minnesota's going to look stupid. I don't see any other option. The Mets were going to their counter offer was to guarantee the first 6 years for 190 something million. Well, he got 6 years for 200 over at Minnesota. So my favorite part of the whole thing is the news conference when he comes up and he's like, "This is where I've always wanted to be. Look how things happen. Oh, look at that. Minnesota. I never wanted to leave you guys. Yeah. You guys thought I wanted to go over and play with these other teams. That was just I wanted to be here the whole time. See how things work out? Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. God has a plan. Yeah. God has a plan.
Yeah. God willing, I went home and prayed about it, and Minnesota was my number one choice, and God somehow made it happen. He made these other teams make up this fake injury, and I'm home in
I'm home.
Minnesota. Get the hell out of here, Carlos.
Yeah, what a joke.
I hope you blow your knee out, bruh. You can't even cheat, right? Yeah, Minnesota's my home of homes. I've never wanted to leave here. All right, Carlos, have a good time with that.
Go lose with the Twins. They're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Go never do it again. I text my dad. I'm like, well, can I find a new home in Minnesota? He's like, nah, I vetoed that because that Tiger's got to deal with him all the time. Get him out of my division. So it's I don't know how it's legal, but they made it legal, and we'll see how it turns out.
Ryan, this is he asked this last question here before we bounce. Will Mike McCarthy be fired if the Cowboys lose in the first round? And we hit on this a little bit on Tuesday. Me and you, I both think we said the only way Mike McCarthy gets fired on Monday with the loss is if they come out and play like they did against Washington.
Yes, 110%.
If they come out
don't show up.
And they don't show up, they look like TCU out there.
And they let Tom Brady and the anemic Bucks score 30 on them, and they put up 7 and just get blown out of the building and never are in the game, and the offense looks anemic and the defense can't cover anybody, and they just look like they didn't want to be there and didn't deserve to be there, then yes, 100%. Other than that, no.
Yeah, if you lose to Tom Brady because you give the ball back to him with 1:30 and he drives down the field and wins with a game-winning field goal, that's just what Tom Brady does. I just don't see it. He's 12-5. I think if you were to fire McCarthy after 12-5, I think it would be a dumb move. Now, I'm not the biggest McCarthy fan. I think McCarthy's getting a free ride, but we'll see. Yeah. He said even if Dan Quinn's about to leave the building, and
I'm not convinced Quinn's leaving.
I think he is, because we talked about this too on Tuesday. Just because, how many times is a guy going to be offered a head coaching job and turn it down to be a defensive coordinator? Now he may, because Jerry Jones can throw the bag of money at him like he did before he left last time. But this Denver job's open again. They've called about him, and you might lose your offensive coordinator, which I think a lot of Cowboy fans might want to be gone. But Greg's like, I'll help pack his bags.
Yeah. Hey, can you miss the playoff game? I think they called today.
But I think McCarthy's there next year. I don't think you can fire him at 12-5. And Dan Quinn, if honestly, it's going to come down to if he really has a desire to be a head coach, and I think he does. I think he'll be gone after this season. Yeah, Ryan wants Cliff Kingsbury. He said, "Bye, Cliff. I want Cliff over here." So I don't know. He couldn't win in college with Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what he can do in the NFL as offensive coordinator, but I don't know.
I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that.
Oh. Well, yeah, as OC, not as head coach, but as
I don't want Cliff Kingsbury anywhere in the building. I don't want him as an advisor to anybody. No.
I'm a little late on that one. He says not great as head coach, but great as an OC. But all right, well, that is your episode. We ran a little bit long tonight, but that's okay. Thank you, Ryan, for stopping in and adding to the show and commenting. Guys, you can do the same if you go to YouTube on the OutSpoken NetWork, find our live thread, and come comment away on our playoff predictions. We're going to post this podcast up on every podcast platform there is available pretty much, and you can find us here. We're going to be with you back on Tuesday to go over these playoff games, any interesting upsets or anything that goes down, any headlines, anything that breaks in between here and there. And we're excited for the playoff football. It is that time, Craig, though, for what's in your locker, brother?
Not much. Actually have a weekend off, so it will be watching football and not doing much of anything. So probably take the youngster driving and get him being road ready and but other than that, nothing.
That sounds fantastic.
And yeah, not leaving the couch. So we'll be ready for that and see if these games can play out. Unfortunately, I got to miss Monday's game because I bowl. I knew when I saw the schedule that they were going to put that game on Monday night. I knew. I said the only way that they're not on Monday is if Aaron Rodgers makes the playoffs and maybe his game is on Monday night. But they're going to put Tom and the Jerry and the high profile. I knew that game was going to be Monday night, so I'll have to watch it from the bowling alley on Monday night. But yeah, we're just ready. We're ready for the weekend and just relax and enjoy the couch.
Well, that sounds great. Sometimes you need those weekends where you don't do absolutely anything. We've been traveling back and forth from Mineola the last 2 weekends in a row. It's about a 2.5-hour drive. This weekend, tomorrow I got going paintballing, which will be fun. And other than that, I ain't got nothing. I got paintball tomorrow. I got work tomorrow. Then I got paintball. And then I got church on Sunday, but that's about it. Other than that, it's going to be playoffs. Last year, Ryan says, please don't let the boys lose on my birthday for the second year in a row. They lost last year on his birthday, and he's hoping they don't lose again on his birthday. That would be kind of funny and ironic.
Better blow out some candles early and make a wish.
Yeah, you better do it before 7:15 Monday. But other than that, that's about all I got for you guys. All we have for you here on the OutSpoken Network. God bless, and remember,
keep it outspoken.